Lazy Sunday.
Not working
Watched
on
a little.
projects, are you?
Well, I've got two due this week, but I just didn't do them. I started to almost do them, but then oh, but it's Easter.
Any excuse, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's not like I did anything for Easter. I can't physically cannot. So I just read a lot, burning through that Chinese history book, getting to some good points. The Taiping Rebellion is always fun.
I can't remember if I think I've read all the books that I had on my plate to read. I need to order the next ones in the series.
Which series is this?
I'm reading the Foundation series, and I just started the Red Rising series. I read that book in like a day. I had heard about it on another podcast I listened to, and they really recommended it, and it's sci-fi kind of future kind of thing, and I was like, that sounds kind of up my alley. And they had recommended Collapsing Empire, which was a book that I had read during the power outage when I was living at Purdue, because the power was out for like an entire day, so I just read that book, and it was really good. So I was like, okay, I trust their recommendations for sci-fi at this point. So I think there's 4 more books, so I'd like to get those. And then I'm also reading the Foundation series by Isaac Asimov.
It's supposed to be a classic.
Yeah, I've read 2 of them already.
We were shopping for the third one, I think, when you came and visited.
Yeah, I still need to get the third one. And then Collapsing Empire actually had a sequel after it sold so well.
Rebuilding Empire.
Well, the first one was really good, and I have no idea how they would continue on from where they left the story off, so I'd like to read it.
Oh, nice. I need to get a new fiction book to read myself. Something a little less dense. But all the libraries are closed down.
Yeah.
Which sucks, because that's how I like to test out the books.
I like to just buy them.
I suppose. I know there's something so convenient about a library.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not disagreeing with you there. It's just I think when I go to get a book, it's like I know, I'm going to want to keep it anyway.
Being able to look at the book pages, feel them, cough on them, put them back. Wait.
Hold on.
Maybe that's why they're closed.
I'm pretty proud of this pun.
Oh.
Okay. I sent the messages out, and we can just sit and chat, because I pre-set up everything for once. I actually remembered to do it.
I also might want to change that album title to Born in the USA.
Oh. Well,
that is one of... You got the Born part, you got the Bruce part.
I'm pretty sure the recommendation on our Twitch says Born to Run.
Was it?
Oh my god. Somebody recommended Born to Run by Bruce Springsteen.
Why'd we do Born in the USA?
I don't know. We agreed to do Born to Run. Did you just pick the wrong album?
I think I just got them confused. Hey,
right. Whatever. Did you get the correct information about Born in the USA?
No, that's all true.
Okay.
I just got my wires crossed there.
Born to in the USA. I'm bad at spelling. Born to in the USA. Yep, that's the album title.
What? No, it's Born in the USA.
Yeah, no, I typed it wrong.
Oh.
Pratik was correcting me.
That's fair.
Born to Run is a song.
Well, it's also an album. It's also an album.
Yeah, just like Born in the USA is song and album. How did you manage that, Coop?
I got them switched around. I guess you're reviewing Born in the USA.
Oh well, I guess we'll have to come back to Born to Run eventually.
Yeah, go back to Bruce. I feel like this one is just as, if not more, influential than Born to Run.
Yeah, I think Sammy Boy is another Sam from Goons and Goblins, or maybe it's Morales from other friend group, because I know he hopped on and recommended a bunch one day, and these are all from January. So that was probably him.
Well, we'll say this was less of a suggestion, more of an inspiration.
Yeah, but that means we have to listen to Bruce Springsteen again.
Oh, you weren't a fan of this? As soon as I'm like, Sam's not gonna care for this one.
A little pre-teaser. It's a 60s rock album released somehow in the late 80s. I don't know how they got away with this.
Not only get away, but it sold very well. People really like this album.
Somehow.
Oh, man.
You got any good plans for this week?
I mean, I got those 2 projects due. And they're both presentations.
Eesh.
So I can't even like half-ass them because I have to like present them to my professors.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to be embarrassed. So probably just work on that.
But you're basically already done with all of them, right?
With the what?
The presentations.
No.
You've started them at least, right?
Yeah, we've started them a little bit, but we haven't really done like the bulk of the work.
When were they assigned?
I don't know. One was like a week ago.
Okay.
The other one was like 3 weeks ago, maybe 4 weeks ago.
Okay, that one's a little less excusable.
Oh, but there's so much going on, Sam.
Sam, me boy. Oh, that's probably Liam. I take it back.
Sam, me boy.
That was probably. I'm calling it now. That's Liam. He made a Twitch account to recommend music.
Hey, sorry, Sammy boy. We got our wires crossed a bit, but you're gonna get your Bruce Springsteen. It's maybe not the one you expected.
Yeah. This is what I get for leaving Cooper in charge of everything except for running the stream.
I got like it half right.
You did, and I mean I'm very appreciative of all you do because I don't know how you do it.
Well, it's either that or Born to Run has a 10-minute song on it.
Oh, okay. It was
10 minutes of just and a 6-minute song. Wow, it's like
how long is the album in total?
Not very. It looks like it's your average 45-minute album. Just has 2 very long songs.
Oh, because this one felt very long and also very short.
I mean, this one was like what, 45 minutes?
Was
just
it?
about.
It felt a bit shorter. It felt closer to a 30-minute runtime or something.
It's pretty by the book album. 2 sides, 6 songs.
Again.
Who's me? But hey, this was in '84. Bruce is still rocking out. He just released a new album in 2019.
I saw that. Oh, sorry.
I guess it was from a film or something. But hey, it's new Bruce Springsteen music.
How old is he? 49.
Yeah, I think he was 70. Oh, give me one quick sec before we jump on.
Getting a call.
Sorry. Yeah, getting an unexpected call. Let me just. Hey, Mom, what's up?
Wrong number, as he will say when he comes back. Oh, how are you guys doing?
No. I'm gonna go on it. Like.
I won't turn his audio feed up this time to see if we can listen into his conversation. As I have done in the past.
Sorry about that.
You're fine. I was just saying, this happened before, as I recall, during a warm-up.
Oh, man. Just too popular. Too many calls.
That time, though, I turned your audio input way up so we could try and listen to the call.
Oh. Oh, I don't like that. Well, I didn't say anything, so.
Yeah. The last call was very long. Maybe that was, I don't remember. Maybe Jonah was streaming or something. I just remember you got a call and you were in the other room. And if we turned you all the way up on Discord, we could kind of hear what you were saying.
Oh, no. Somebody stopped by to visit. I remember that. I should have just unplugged myself. Ah, well. Oh, I guess we can jump into this album.
Yeah, get going. We're about at the 10-minute mark, so I think I'm going to have to do a quick edit in the the other screen as well, since I thought we were doing Born to Run, since that's what we agreed upon. I didn't connect the dots when I opened up the folder and it said Born in the USA.
Let's start with Born. You're like, it's pretty much the same thing.
I think I just didn't read past the first two words. I mean, how many Born albums does Bruce Springsteen have?
Those 2.
At least. All right. Well, let's transition over. And I will fix this while you do the intro.
Yeah, so welcome back to Audio Shop. This week's episode, we're going to be looking at Born in the USA by Bruce Springsteen, an American classic. Just to give a quick background for you younger folk who maybe aren't so familiar with Bruce, he was born in 1949, kind of a rock icon, especially during like the 80s. He has sold a lot of records, like a lot of records. 135 million worldwide, making him one of the best-selling artists of all time. He's got like 20 Grammys, and a Tony Award, and an Academy Award, and a Golden Globe. So he's got an EGOT, and he's obviously in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. He got the Presidential Medal from Obama in 2016.
For what?
So, for the Presidential Medal of Freedom. So I guess that's like in the arts or something. He's released 20 albums, so pretty prolific. Latest being in 2019 at like 69 years old. So dude's still plowing along making music. And this is his not one of his first albums. He started making music in like the 70s. So this is pretty into his career. But this is probably his best-selling album of all. That, of course, is Born in the USA.
Not Born to Run.
Born to Run. We got that suggestion. We got him switched around.
I just checked. You did tweet Born in the USA, so thankfully anyone checking Twitter would know what we were listening to. However, everything I set up was Born to Run, since that's what was recommended to us, and we accidentally listened to the wrong album.
Oh, they're getting a little extra treat on the side.
Yeah.
Because this album went 15 times platinum. It sold 30 million copies worldwide, making it just one of the best-selling albums of all time. And 7 of its singles reached the top 10 Billboard's Hot 100 list. So, plain to say that this was a popular album in its time. I'd be hard-pressed to say that if you live in America, you've probably heard Born in the USA somewhere. At a sporting event on the radio, at the mall, right?
They like to throw it on where you tune into a radio station while they're doing fireworks. That's always one of the songs that they have in the mix.
Yeah, which is kind of ironic when we'll get into it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Bruce Springsteen, a bit of a trailblazer, I suppose. He kind of pioneered what they call heartland rock. Which is basically a little more of a socially conscious, like classic blue collar rock, I suppose, which you'll find plenty of on this album. So, he tries to do some interesting stuff. We'll see how that goes as we dive into it.
Jumping into track number 1 then. Born in the USA.
Title track right off the bat.
Right off the track. Which,
this one, goes it's kind of hard to talk about since it's like such a such a cultural defining song, right? It's kind of seeped in to the point that it's kind of ironic, since it's for those of you who've never listened to the actual lyrics of Born in the USA, it's kind of lampooning the Vietnam War, which I think ended shortly before this, or around the time this album was released. So it's kind of ironically being patriotic, which has flown over many a head, because this sounds like a true blue American song.
Yeah, it was a while. Vietnam War ended in April 30th, 1975, and this came out in 84, right?
Yeah, so about 9 years later. So for the repercussions to sink in, I suppose. But yeah, it plays really to the rock and roll Americana crowd.
Yeah, I mean, you say that, but we're thinking about 84. What was going on in the rock world in 84?
I guess Led Zeppelin, right?
Yeah.
AC/DC is around that time. Or maybe Led Zeppelin was even before that.
Yeah, but it sounds to me like a much, much earlier form of rock. It just feels old school, Maybe it's because it's kind of that marrying. I'm gonna call them out. I think it's country. It's pretty country in a lot of places, And
It's definitely got country blood. I think it takes more rock lines than country
I
lines.
agree, but
it's definitely got a hearty chunk of it in its
it
DNA.
draws a significant influence from country music. And I would say folk, but folk is actually good. And you know, this is one of those songs that you hear all the time, but you don't really listen. And I don't know, something about actually sitting down, and we've said this before, but sitting down and analyzing songs is a good way to hate the song. Sometimes not knowing what's going on leads to more enjoyment. And this one was one of those cases for me, you know? He sings the same melodic line over and over, and that white bread backing track just goes nowhere for 4 minutes.
Yeah,
it just
Bruce
is the
not
same four bars over and over.
Bruce doesn't seem to be a big component of song progression.
Yeah, it's
especially in this album.
I mean, don't get me wrong; it's a very recognizable and good lick, but it's not enough to sustain a 4.5 minute song.
Well, I guess society would disagree, Sam.
Yeah,
because it's
yeah.
This is the single catapulted in the charts.
Well, like I said, you know, sitting down and analyzing it is a good way to hate music that you've enjoyed in the past. Granted, I wouldn't exactly turn off the radio station if this came on, but I certainly wouldn't turn it up like some of the other songs on this album.
Right. I think part of it that doesn't help with me is I've never been a big fan of Bruce's vocal delivery.
Yeah.
He's got this very gravelly, impassioned, I'll give him this. But he's like, I wouldn't say a good singer in the traditional sense in any way. Like, his voice cracks a lot. It's clearly more emotion over, like, technical ability.
Well, I'm going to have to disagree with you there. There's one song in this album where it's like, if he wrote his music like this, holy crap, he would sound amazing. But the issue is he's not going for what suits his abilities. He's just trying to do the music, you know? And I guess I kind of respect him for that, but he's not a very good singer.
I mean, he puts his energy into the songs. Yeah. I don't think he's half-assing. It's a different styling that I find a bit grating over the course of the entire.
I think that might also be a big issue with this album as well. As like you said, there's 7 singles on this album. There's only,
12
songs. This is a singles album. I don't think, granted it was released in the 80s, so that it was still kind of the tradition to have
singles albums, yeah.
Even today, that I'd say that's even more prevalent. I was thinking of, older albums tend to be you sit down and listen to the whole album all the way through. Whereas this definitely feels more modern in its stylings where, probably don't want to sit down and listen to all these back to back. It gets kind of grating pretty fast.
You'll notice some similarities across the singles.
Right. And that's the modern singles album, where it does really well on the charts. 7 singles, 7 of them reached the top 10, which is ridiculous. But if you were to sit down and listen to all those back to back, it's not the same experience. You're always more excited for it to come on the radio than you are for it to jump to the next song on the album. So I think that's a different. Maybe I'll give it to you. He was a pioneer in creating. I don't know if this is the first singles album, but it definitely is one of the first.
I'm not sure if I'd say it's one of the first singles albums. It's definitely one that sold probably the best out of pretty much all of them.
One that made it the most popular, I'll say.
Oh yeah, I mean, you can't turn your nose up at 30 million sales. People notice that. Yeah, so I mean, it's a classic in terms of like just cultural, I guess, ubiquity. But in terms of like, I think it's a pretty all right rock song that gets boring after a while. That kind of prevails on this album as a whole.
Yeah. Yeah, I just have a bit of issue calling it a rock song because on the scale of rock, this feels like it's right on the left edge, It's kind of teetering, hanging on by its toes. It's still rock, but just barely,
Yeah, it's not rock and roll.
Yeah.
It's like rockabilly.
Yeah.
Right? We had to have some sort of sliding scale between the two.
Exactly. There you go. Jump into track number 2 then, if you're ready, Coop.
Yes.
Cover Me.
Another single on the album. I'm just gonna stop pointing that out now.
Yeah.
Since it's like literally more than half the album.
I on this one I felt like I was already kind of catching on to the trend that you write 4 bars of music and a chorus and then just repeat them.
Yes.
This, I will say, actually, I think I like this song better than Born in the USA. Maybe it's because Born in the USA is one of those songs that I feel is kind of a musical cliche, whereas I can't listen to We Will Rock You anymore. I hate it. I've heard it too many times. It's a great song. It's fine, but it's been played to death. And I think that's similar to the case of Born in the USA. This one, however, this was kind of new for me. It's got a bit more going on in the background as well, which I liked. There's actually key changes in this one as opposed to just the same 4 bars over and over again. And it actually had an electric guitar solo and kind of a good electric guitar before and after the solo, which was a nice touch to the droning snare drum in the first song.
Yeah, it's got a little more of a chord progression. It's got a guitar solo at the 145 mark, and a little more synth jumps in. Or I guess not synth, but keyboard, which are kind of the building blocks of any of the songs on this. Is electric guitar, keyboard, and some bass. It's got a little more obvious backing bass on this one as well. Also, kind of ping pongs. It kind of shows the ping ponging between the first song is definitely socially conscious, but that drops off for like 2/3 of the time on this album. Like this one, it's just about getting a lady.
Yeah,
one of his lover songs.
It's very repetitive lyrics, but this one felt more like a good summer driving song. This is something you turn up a little bit. If Born in the USA comes on and you're driving in the car, you're probably not going to touch the dial. It's not got much oomph to it. When you think Born in the USA, you think his droning lyrics and the snare drum just hitting over and over again. That's like the 2 major components of it. Whereas this one has, a bit more meat on the bone, if you will.
A little more meat. No, I agree. I think it's a bit of a step up, if only slightly, over Born in the USA. Though, interesting note, and I guess I'll just throw it in here now, while researching this, which is very rare. Each of the songs on this album have their own dedicated Wikipedia page that go...
That is rare.
Insanely in depth about the backing of it. Like there's, I forget which song it was, but I was reading up on one where it's like, this song was unusual as being a single for his album, but only appearing in 11.5% of all his live tour performances. I'm like, who crunched the numbers there?
What? That's crazy to me. I mean, most of the songs on an album usually don't get a Wikipedia page, and if they do, it's because like, 2 band members killed each other while writing the song. Something significant happened, or there's significant story behind the song. Whereas I wouldn't think that deserves a Wikipedia page. Like, he doesn't cover this in his live shows.
No, every single one has one. It's pretty extensive too.
That's crazy.
Yeah, shows how much people are really big Bruce Springsteen heads. They love this.
Which is crazy because I think all the songs by him I've ever heard are on this one album.
Which, speaking of which, we can go on to track number 3, Darlington County. Which, I guess Cover Me was a little less country, a little more rock. Classic rock. This one definitely brings back the country vibes. Going down to Darlington County.
I like the cowbell. I'll give it that. But this one, this one was just too much country for me, and there was so little there. There was two minutes of sha-la-lying. It doesn't need to be a 4-minute song. Why is there 2 minutes of sha-la-lying?
And Bruce's voice on this one is really blasting.
Yeah,
I just do not care for it.
Yeah, this was a pretty bad song.
It does have a sax solo at 2:30.
Yeah,
I didn't see that coming through.
I could barely pay attention to it over the sha-la-lying. It was too much. I didn't have much for this one. It was just there was so little meat to this song.
Oh, this one's a bit repetitive. I mean, that's going to be most of them.
Most of the songs are repetitive. This is the worst offender.
Yeah, I think the sha-la-la is kind of ingrained in their head. It's either that or saying the word Darlington County.
Yeah.
Uh,
I mean, jump to track number 4 if you're ready.
Yeah, I didn't care for this one too much. You could just go on that one.
Working on the highway.
This was not one of his singles. I'll note.
I would be surprised if it was.
Yeah, we can just jump onto track number 4, Working on the Highway.
And I have to say, thank God the clapping is mixed so far back into this song. I think that Green Day album totally ruined clapping in music for me.
I did say, oh boy, clapping is just what I wanted, but it's back enough that it's not like super annoying.
It's one of those things. It's like I never noticed it until we listened to that album, and now it's everywhere, and I hate it.
Yeah, this one starts with just the clapping. It's a little more of a stripped back, just kind of acoustic and a little bit of like that da-da-da-da-da-da electric guitar going in the background.
Yeah, that melodic lick is so grating. It's the same note over and over again, really high.
It's a little mind-numbing.
Yeah, it just melted my mind.
I mean, I guess Bruce has like a different delivery on this song. It's like a kind of faster, more segmented delivery.
Yeah.
Which I think suits him a little bit better than his kind of croning he's been doing, or crooning. And it does have this kind of nice, I guess, keyboard. But it's just that same lick over and over again. Yeah,
there's not enough else going on in the song to make up for it. That repeating melodic lick just hurts so bad. It just it grates on you, and the song ends and you're thankful.
I did kind of like the lyrics about at least what I got from it was like he used to work on a highway, and then he ran into the law, and then part of his prison sentence was building a highway, which I think is a little funny. That is a little clever story there.
Yeah.
Too bad it's kind of buried underneath this instrumentation.
And was this a single, Cooper?
This was... Sorry, there's so many. I have to read through the entire list. It was not.
Thank goodness. Jump into track number 5 if you're ready.
Track number 5, Downbound Train. So this one's a little sadder, a little slower.
Yeah,
it kind of brings down the energy a bit.
Yeah, I felt like it was kind of a downer. Like it has a really promising backing track, but it doesn't go anywhere. I will say the bass really carries this song, but that's saying something when the bass is the most complex part of the song. The bass really should not be the most complex part of the song. If you got a solo in there, absolutely. But just in the general lines, no.
I mean, I kind of like it more than what we've been getting. I mean, it brings the energy down, but it's kind of got some like nice matching kind of woo-wee synth in the back. It's even got like a bit of an acoustic breakdown at like the minute 30 mark.
Are you referring to the minute and a half of unaccompanied singing by Bruce Springsteen?
I mean, that comes in after that, which is mostly just Bruce's voice. I didn't care for that.
That was really bad. Like his singing style does not lend itself to that long without any music. For the first 5 seconds or 10 seconds or so, I was like, okay, this is a nice breakdown. And then it didn't end. And it just kept going. And then the song was almost over. And I realized, oh no, this might be the rest of the song.
Oh, there's another nice little instrumentation breakdown later in where there's less Bruce.
Yes. But his style really does not lend itself to singing unaccompanied.
No, but I like the instrumentation more on this song. It felt a little fuller. Maybe it was because it had like the instrumentation breakdowns and some solos to make it feel less like it's just doing the same thing over and over again, like a skipping track. It's a little more of an oasis, you know.
I mean I agree with you. I enjoyed the backing track, but I can't forgive that minute of unaccompanied singing.
just pure Bruce.
It was it was the kid eating the tablespoonful of Hershey's baking powder, thinking that it was
like drinking vanilla.
Yeah, exactly. Jumping to track number 6, then, if you're ready.
Yes, track 6, I'm on Fire, which goes even further into kind of this soft rock vibe. It's got I guess it's kind of a love song, even though it's got just the worst lyrics on the album.
Yeah, I had to mention, I don't like how much he says "little girl."
I'm the exact same note. I know this is like a cultural thing. Where back then it meant like cutie or like cutie pie, you know.
It has a completely different connotation today.
But the opening lyric is, I kid you not, I'm reading this word for word.
Yeah.
Hey, little girl, is your daddy home? Did he go away and leave you all alone? I got a bad desire.
Yeah, something about the wording on that. I was like,
so like, ooh.
Even was that? I feel like even in the 80s, you know.
No, I mean in the 80s, a lot of they use like little girl and bad desires. Like, oh, I'm gonna get all kissy on you. They didn't mean like in like here. Obviously, it's got a darker connotation in modern days. Then obviously it's a little more innocent. Was it though? So
it's still. I mean, I granted it's hard to put yourself in the mindset of the era, but it.
I don't think Bruce meant anything bad by it. I just think, in retrospect, it's a little cringy.
Yeah, that came on. I was like, ooh, okay. I realized that this was said, but I still don't like it.
I think his heart's in the right place if his words are, you know, didn't age so well.
Yeah. What didn't age well, though, is the drums in one ear and guitar in the other. I am so glad that trend is dead.
I didn't really mind it too much on this song.
I minded it a lot.
I mean, maybe because it's kind of such a subdued song. It didn't like pop out as much. I mean, it was there, but I kind of liked the dreamy aesthetic of this one with the dreamy keyboard, kind of lighter acoustic. I thought it was a nice change of pace, a little pleasant.
I gotta disagree with you there. I felt like this was more of an idea of a song rather than a song.
No,
it's as I wrote, I've seen discarded chicken wings with more meat on the bone.
I mean, it's not like as full, but it feels to me like deliberately kind of like low key as opposed to just being half baked. I mean, this was one of his singles.
Sorry to hear that. It's a pretty bad song.
I've liked it more than a lot of the songs so far. I also like the little wispy woo-woos Bruce does at the end of the song. They're actually the first time I'm complimenting his vocals.
Yeah. Speaking of vocals, you want to jump to track 7?
Yeah, this is before that, we'll note that this song has a pretty long fade out. That's just, of course, because it's the end of side 1, or I guess side 1 of the vinyl. So now we're going to side 2 with track number 7, No Surrender.
So this used to be tradition here on the podcast almost, where when we had a bad album, I'd have an epiphany as to why I didn't enjoy it. And usually it happens around the B-side. And this, you know, I'm happy to say I'm bringing back that tradition.
Ooh.
And what bugs me about his singing is first of all, he sings almost the exact same in every single song. Like, if you probably pluck the vocal performance from one song into another, and it wouldn't stick out too poorly. But he sings all the words on one note until the end of the line where he goes down notes. Every single song. He sings, you know, a whole sentence on one note. He doesn't change notes. He doesn't go up. He doesn't go down. He sings them all on one note, and then he goes down. Sure, he sometimes sings high, but he sings high on one note and then goes down. There are only like 2 examples on this whole album where he sings a note and then goes up a note. All the rest of the time, he only goes down. It is ridiculous. And that is what bugs me so much about his singing.
Yeah, his vocals are not the highlight of this album in any capacity.
Yeah.
And it's also, even if it was just that, also I don't think it's super like good to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
But definitely doesn't help because his vocals are like the main part of every song.
Yes.
The instrumentation is built around it.
Yes.
Very rarely does it depart from that. So you kind of wish you'd had a better vocal styling.
Yeah, for sure. And the worst part is, like this one, I love the way this song starts. It sounds super promising, but then nothing ever happens to it. You know, there might be a few imperceptible little changes once in a while, but for the most part, it just stays the same throughout. which is crazy for an 80s rock album that is just flat. That is not the style of the time whatsoever.
Yeah, it's pretty aggressively boring.
Aggressively white bread, as I'll say.
Yeah, like you said, like even around the time, AC/DC, right?
Yeah.
They're giving some energetic performances. This isn't like, it's not like, oh, it was, they didn't know how to make good music then, right?
No, this was the rock and roll era,
Yeah. Which I get where you're saying this is a little more country than rock.
Yeah, I think this is definitely a rock album written for country fans.
I guess it worked.
yeah, I mean, for sure.
I mean, no matter what we say about Bruce, he knew his audience.
Yeah, I mean, no matter what we say, he's the one sitting in a golden mansion.
Yeah. Still getting record deals.
Exactly.
I'm sure he's still making a bunch of money from this album.
So clearly he did something right.
But obviously he's tapping into a sensibility that doesn't quite apply to us.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's all I got to say about
that rant was what I wrote for this one. Jumping to track number 8 then. Bobby Jean.
Bobby Jean.
Sadly not Billie Jean.
Yeah, I think this came out before Billie Jean, so I guess Michael took that from him. Really, is it Michael Jackson just the Bruce Springsteen of our time?
No. I don't even know what that means.
I don't either. I just want to say something wrong. But I actually like the instrumentation on this song.
Really?
It's a little more, I feel like it's a little lusher. It's got a pretty nice bass line. I like that synth going on. I think there's actually song progression because there's like a piano change at like 2:30. I feel like the song grows a little bit. I mean, it's still got Billy's or Bruce's vocals. But I feel like they match a little bit better with this kind of styling.
So I wrote another rant for this one.
No.
I felt like this one was painfully white bread until the sax solo came in as the song fades out.
It does have a sax solo, I think, which I liked as well.
Which I feel like was a pretty big trend. I don't know why. There was another song I couldn't think of that had a sax solo, just like they threw it in right at the end as the song was fading. It's like, well, why not include that sooner? Anyway, this one was highly repetitive backing track, and it feels like much longer than 4 minutes. Like it's a 4-minute song, but it felt like it was an 8-minute song.
I mean, most of the songs in this album were like 3.5 minutes to 4 minutes.
Yeah, and maybe it's fatigue from listening to these cookie cutter songs for so long. It was kind of like you're in a suburban neighborhood, Each house is different, You look around, it's like, oh, I like what they did with that bush, and I like the color of that paint on that house. But if you look just a little bit closer, you can tell there's only 5 models of houses. It's very clearly they're all pretty much the same.
Part of that I almost want to defend is I feel like, this is substantiated, it might be wrong, but I feel like Bruce Springsteen is the one that made that popular. So I don't like going back in time and being like, oh, this is so overdone, when it's like he was the one doing it first.
No. I'm not comparing him to anyone else. I am saying on this album, song number 9 or song number 8, I'm getting a little bit sick of him, I think. I think is the case. We've listened to 8 songs, but really we've only listened to about 4.
Yes. But I mean, I suppose it's just all using the same instrumentation. It follows like the same pattern. So it's just going to do that.
Yeah.
And I mean, the sax solo is nice. I'm glad he threw it in.
Yeah.
It just makes the song a little more colorful.
Whoever you picked as a saxophonist does great throughout each song, but they are included way too late. I want them in there sooner.
Or maybe a little more incorporated than being like the last 30 seconds of any given song.
Liven up the song, Don't just use guitar, piano, maybe throw in a bit of keyboard here and there, and then sing loudly over the top of everything. Actually mix the tracks, Bring yourself back a little bit. I really enjoy when artists treat themselves as another instrument, because that's really all they are. Sometimes you do want your voice to be the focus of the song, but if you got a voice like Bruce Springsteen, you probably don't want to be the focus of the song. Maybe hire more talented keyboardists that can play more than 4 bars before having to click the repeat button.
Is Bruce Springsteen just the anti-Jamiroquai?
That's pretty fitting title, I think.
in the stereotypical American stud versus the androgynous synth god.
Yeah. Jump into track number 9 if you're ready.
Yeah, track number 9. I'm Going Down.
And I gotta say, I'm really thankful the name of this song is repeated 20 times in the first minute. Otherwise, I wouldn't recognize what I was listening to.
I'm going down, down, down. Yeah, you you remember the title of this track? Another single, of course.
Of course.
Don't wanna.
And this one has it, Coop. It's got the
what's it got?
It's got the 2-1 clap during the breakdown.
It does have the 2-1 clap. Again, it's kind of like enough back in the mix that I didn't mind it as much.
This one was a bit louder, and as soon as I don't know why. I think it was so prominent in that album that I just have flashbacks every time I hear it now to that 2-1 clap in literally every single song.
I guess this song definitely. At this point, we're getting into diminishing returns. Mm-hmm. I feel with the styling. Though when I was researching, 2 interesting things. First, the song has its. I guess the plot of it is it features a prominent drum performance and possesses an energetic feel while dealing with the frustrations of diminishing sexual activity in romantic relationships. So I guess that's what this song is about.
Okay.
Also, it was covered by Vampire Weekend.
Of course.
Which I can't even begin to imagine what that sounds like.
I bet they really brought out that 2-1 clap, I'll tell you that.
I got to listen to it afterwards, just to know. But yeah, they got the claps. I guess it kind of has some sax interspersed and a little bit of some electric organ to keep the energy up.
Yeah, I will say this does have the first example of him singing upwards, which is
ironic.
It sounds once it finally happens, it sounds weird. You're like, oh,
yeah,
I wasn't ready for that.
I didn't even. You mentioned the upwards. I didn't notice that when I was writing, but I did specifically note Bruce's voice sounds a little different on this.
Yeah, it's because he sings up.
I couldn't put my finger on it, but I guess that was it.
But the dang chorus is repeated more times than I've said repeat today. It's
for a 3-minute song too.
Yeah, it just feels like another song that made it off the drawing board as a sketch.
Oh, come on, Matt. Come on,
listen,
Sam.
Cooper.
Jeez,
I know all white people look the same to you, but I'm not Matt.
It's just cheese. Look, Sam. The chorus changes. They have a whole clap breakdown chorus version of it.
Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot about the clap breakdown.
But yeah, so
if I never hear another 2-1 clap, it'll be too soon.
I think we can go on to Glory Days.
Yeah, track number 10.
Track number 10.
Which is odd to have arguably the best 2 songs on the album on the B-side.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't super big. I know the other one you're talking about, but I'm not as big with Glory Days.
Really?
This one's, yeah, I'm just not a fan of, first off, it's just more of Bruce's, just kind of almost like yells singing.
I think it helps that I took a break between 8 and 9, so I came back a little bit refreshed to writing as opposed to sitting down and listening all back to back.
It's also, that's kind of funny because I did that right before Bobby Jean. So maybe just cleaning the palate helps him become a little more palatable.
Yeah.
But I don't know. First, I feel like just the chorus over and over, which, isn't uncommon. And I also just don't care for the hook on this one. I don't know what it is about it, but it just feels almost hokey.
It might be because of how, I'd argue this is probably even more famous than Born in the USA.
This one?
Yeah.
This song.
I personally have heard this song way more than Born in the USA.
This is nowhere near Born in the USA.
I'm just telling you, if I hear a song on the radio, it is either Glory Days or 11 Dancing in the Dark. I never hear Born in the USA on the radio.
I gotta say, Born in the USA is probably the more popular one.
I'd fight you on that one.
I mean, I'm just looking at the information. It didn't even reach number 1 in the top 100 Billboard Hot 100.
I'm not talking about back in the 80s. I'm talking about now. I'd say these 2 songs are the more played. Who's gonna sit down and listen? Let's face it. Born in the USA is a toast sandwich. You know,
it's made in like every like sporting event. If you ever go to a baseball game or 4th of July festival, labor, it's always there.
Exactly. But you know what else is always there? The national anthem. Do you have that on your phone, Cooper? Do you listen to that before you go to bed? No.
I would say the national anthem's more popular than Glory Days.
I'd argue with that one too. But this one, I don't know. This one, maybe I'm probably looking at it from popularity, but I would definitely take this one over Born in the USA any day. It is very repetitive, but I think I got a soft spot for that hook.
I'm the opposite. I actually really don't like this hook. I mean, I'm not gonna fight you to the death over Glory Days, though. And I guess I never did mention this, but it's kind of in my DNA. My dad has a deep, seething hatred of Bruce Springsteen.
Okay, why? Let's hear this.
I've never figured out why, but he just very much dislikes his music, like aggressively.
Have you asked him why?
No, I never have. I'll have to. I just know he's never liked him, so we never had him in our household.
Huh. Maybe he spit on your dad's boots when he was a kid or something. I don't know.
I don't know about that. Maybe it's because I think he was popular in Philly for a while, or like around that area. My dad spent a lot of time in Philadelphia, so maybe just being surrounded by him made him sick of it.
I can see that. We were
I
not
can understand
kind.
that.
We were not kind to that early 2000s music. Breaking Benjamin. If you live through it, you're more likely to hate it.
Which, I mean, I can only imagine hearing this album all the time in the 80s.
Yeah, that's it's like why people hate disco, you know?
Right.
Okay, I can 100% understand where he's coming from then.
Yeah, I kind of understand after listening to this album too. But we can go on to its next song, which is track number 11. I'd say the second biggest song off this album.
I would not disagree with that.
Which is Dancing in the Dark. Which this one's
right at the end of the B-side as well, which is crazy.
Right at the end. But it's almost this like more synthy dance rock vibe to it, which is completely different than the rest of the album. And I really dig it.
And
or dig it more significantly than the other songs.
I think this one lends itself to a singing style much, much better than other songs. And maybe it's the synth talking, because that's the easiest way to win me over. But I think this style kind of suits his voice a lot better, where he's not trying to belt it out or anything. He's just kind of there. Maybe it's also because it's harder to understand him. Maybe that has something to do with it. I don't know. But the chorus is catchy, I think. Not overused until the end. The ending is pretty repetitive.
I suppose. Does this have a saxophone at the end?
It does, you know. I wish that had been included more, but, you know, we can't always get what we want.
And I think this just has a catchy hook. I don't know, it's just a very danceable hook to it.
Mm-hmm.
I also thought something funny that caught me when I was reading about this one was he was talking to his manager, Bruce was.
Okay.
Before writing the song. And and his manager told him that this album needed a single.
Hold on.
Which is hilarious. To which Bruce responded, "Look, I've written 70 songs. You want another one? I'll write one." And then he wrote Dancing in the Dark.
It needed a... Did they not already have 6 singles before they added this one?
I don't know what point this was, but I think Bruce is a little more self-aware than we give him credit for.
Yeah, Jesus.
I just thought that was hilarious. And also, I think it's his best single off the album, so...
Yeah, I'd agree with that one. It's definitely the strongest single. Jump into track number 12, then, if you're ready. Final
we can
track.
finish it off on My Hometown. Which also, I think, joins my pantheon of Bruce Springsteen songs that I appreciate for the story, but not so much for the instrumentation. It kind of goes back to that soft heartland rock thing he does every now and then.
Yeah, I have to say it's a bold choice ending the album on a slow song, especially after the last two tracks have been much faster paced.
Yeah, this one has a long fade out too.
Yeah,
Like a real long fade off. I mean, I guess it's the end of the B side, but still.
Did you catch that one note he tried to hold?
A little bit. He tried.
That was really bad. He tried it once, and I'm like, it was probably a smart idea. Never doing that again.
Bruce, this is a studio. You can just retry that or cut it.
No, put it in there.
You don't have to keep it.
Bruce, your face turned blue. You know, it sounded like a dying cat. We probably shouldn't use that take. No, put it in. I insist. I don't know. There's a non-existent backing track in this song. Granted, it evolves. You know, new instruments come in. You can hear the new instruments come in. Things change, but there's just too little going on. You know, I dig the acoustic, but that's really it. You know, a piano comes in, a little bit of synth, but there's not enough. It didn't start high enough, you know. It got better, but it ended about where it should have started, you know, to make it, because you can't just have Bruce singing. I don't know why they didn't learn this. He's not a good singer.
This is like his 8th album. So I guess, you know, at this point.
People are just buying it because his name's on the cover.
I mean, they bought this one.
Yeah.
And it's got a little interesting story. It's like a guy seeing his hometown kind of just go to crap, and like kind of, you know, being sad about it, and eventually just moving out.
I'm telling you, this is rock music for country listeners. That's all this is.
It really is. I mean, I appreciate the message of, like, you know, things end, and I guess the instrumentation kind of matches the more melancholic kind of tone the song takes. But that is. I still don't super care for it.
Yeah,
honestly.
It suffers from the same melodic lick repetition and overuse of the song title in the actual song as earlier songs.
Yeah, but and it's the last song of the album, so it takes it nice and slow to lean out.
Yeah, it was weird. He threw in like a distant choir on the fade out out of nowhere.
Yeah, like, well, because if he didn't, it would just be like a straight minute of fade out.
Yeah. I guess, but that was the last song, and
this is Born in the USA.
I gotta say, this is the first album in a while I actually had to take a break while listening to.
Yeah, it's a lot listening just back to back to back. I mean, it's a singles album,
and singles albums are always like that. Even if, you know, it could be the best musician in the world, but usually, if you're writing a singles album, they're all pretty formulaic and sound close to similar,
or at the very least aren't made to be listened to back to back to back,
which hurts when you try to do it.
But Exhibit A.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's Born in the USA. I guess we'll touch on our favorite and least favorite songs on this album. You want to start, Sam?
Sure, I'll start us off. So for least favorite, I think I'm gonna have to go for "I'm on Fire." That was just my knee-jerk reaction. Maybe it's because, you know, the little girl lyric really was not good in this one. But that I really, really disliked the drum thing. That snare was too sharp in one ear and the acoustic guitar was too soft in the other, and they really clashed in the middle. And then second least favorite would probably be Darlington County. There was just nothing there, you know. There's more musical composition and rainfall than this thing. So those two probably the lowest. And then for favorite, I think I'm going to have to go for Dancing in the Dark. That one's a classic. It is repetitive as hell, but it's the best of the situation, I think. And that is definitely one I keep on when it comes on in the car. Born in the USA, probably would switch channels, see if there's anything better on.
Yeah, I'll definitely, in terms of favorite, I'll have to agree with Dancing in the Dark. I think it's the best one off this album by far. Also, I liked Bobby Jean a bit. I know you didn't super care for it, but I kind of liked the more dancey accented instrumentation. This stood out a little bit more on this album. In terms of least favorite, I know you liked it. I didn't really care for Glory Days all that much. Like I said, I just really didn't like the hook, and it was built on that hook. Mm-hmm. So I also really didn't like Darlington County.
Yeah.
Since I guess this is the most country it gets on the album, and I did not care for it. It was just full Bruce all the time. He also says "little girl" on this song.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd swipe left on that one.
Yeah. And what would you, Cooper, give as your final rating? I guess we should go into the rating system text a little bit. I'll do it this time since you've done it the past couple.
Go for it.
So here on Audio Shop, since Cooper and I both, as we spoke about previously, have a combined 145 years of car workshop experience. We
just turned 146 this last Jambuberry.
Oh, right. I forgot. Congratulations. But we decided to go with a car theme for the rating system text. It's a 5 out of 5 to 1 out of 5 rating system. So top of the crop is showroom. This is the sparkly new car, all angles, because apparently that's what's popular now. Spinning in the showroom. Polygon. Low polygon. You never take it out of the garage. So much as somebody looks at it, you have to wash it again. And then bottom of the barrel is scrapyard. Terrible. There's stickers all over the windows. You can't roll them down because there's...
You can pay someone to buy this.
Exactly. You have to pay someone to crush it and then pay for their therapy charges afterwards. And then we use high and low in between just to kind of give it some flexibility. And I think we need to possibly create a new tier for Imagine Dragons Origins because I want to use Scrapyard again, and we can't because that album was so bad, and I can't rank anything on the same level as that.
It ruined bad albums.
It ruined music for me. I did not know something could be that bad. Anyway, I think I'm going to have to give this... I'll go first if that's all right, Coop.
Yeah, go for it.
I think I'm going to have to give this a maybe mid-tier, maybe low used rental. And I think used rental is a pretty apt description for this song as well. Or for this album. It's got a couple arguably good songs, and then the rest are just kind of there. Like I said before, it's kind of just a toast sandwich. Sure, it'll fill you up a little bit, but does it taste good? Not really. It's just, it's there. Man, I'm really thirsty. Do you have anything to drink? Well, I've got this cup of slightly warm water, not even lukewarm. It's better than nothing. So it's a very indifferent reaction to the album, I guess I have to say.
Yeah. I'm going to have to follow you up right there. I'm going to have to give it a used rental. Not that it was painfully terrible. A lot of the songs were listenable, if generic and pretty boring.
Mm-hmm.
And there's one or two songs I kind of liked off of it. But I can't really see a situation in which I would recommend this to basically within my age range.
Yeah.
I can see if you're nostalgic, if you kind of lived through that time, you like Bruce's music. This is a lot of Bruce.
Yeah. A lot of Bruce.
He gives you what you want there. But I mean, in terms of rock, in terms of 80s rock, this is nowhere near anything I'd recommend.
Mm-hmm.
And you've probably, at this point, you've probably heard half this album already, just through if you live in America, just through osmosis.
Yeah.
So there's really no reason to search it out. There's no hidden gem or ooh, when you listen to it all together, it really brings out the Bruce.
Mm-hmm. It does bring out the Bruce.
It brings out Bruce. So it's not like I throw this in the garbage, and I understand why people might like this,
mm-hmm.
or why it was so popular. Obviously it has an audience. But I didn't care for it. I don't think have any reason to really revisit this album at all.
Yeah. I think the biggest sticking point for me is it 100% is just a country album written in the style of rock to try and appeal to more people. Because God knows I'll be dead in the ground before we listen to any country on this podcast. I will not stand for that. I don't care how good it is. It's pretty bad. That being said, I did like Horses in the Back, whatever that song was called. I don't remember what it was called. That was actually...
Oh, you mean Old Town Road?
Yeah, Old Town Road. That was actually not a bad song.
That's country rap.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother genre.
That is a whole nother genre. One, I fully support the mixing of genres, but rock with country, I don't know. It's I don't know. Just to quote King of the Hill in response to the Christian rock groups, you're not making rock and roll any better, you're just making Christianity worse. So
I mean, this was Bruce hit on a formula that worked. So
Yeah,
props
I
to
mean,
him.
he made crap loads of money off this album, so clearly he did something right.
Right? Us shaking our fists at him, 45 years later,
Yeah,
isn't exactly gonna
yeah,
make him sad. But what are you gonna do?
yeah. Well, that was the album. You want to hop on over to the spare tire of the week, Cooper?
Yeah, and just so you know, our spare tire is basically just the odds and ends we've been listening to. We don't listen just to Bruce Springsteen all week. We gotta listen to some other stuff. So in terms of stuff I've been listening to this week, besides Born in the USA, of course, I've been listening through a lot of a band called Fishmans. They're kind of like this 90s. They're a Japanese band, kind of a 90s, not really rock, but kind of more of a dream pop-ish type band.
Okay.
They released some pretty good stuff back then. Unfortunately, their discography is a little short because their lead singer died in 1999, and the band kind of disbanded after that. But what they got is pretty good. I'm a pretty big fan of their album "Oh Mountain," which I think is just a great album in general, and I've been enjoying listening to them. And they do some more interesting things than Bruce.
Yeah,
that's for sure. So check them out.
Yeah, and I've been just listening to the same two things I pretty much said last week. Once they get in my head, it's hard to, let songs go. But yeah, that's really been it for me. I'm trying to think. I don't think I've really listened to. Dirty Laundry came up. I got that. That's probably one of my favorite songs of all time. By Don Henley.
Oh, okay, I was thinking of a different Dirty Laundry.
Yeah.
I was kind of hoping it was. I was about to be very surprised. This was almost another The Weeknd vampire. So it'd be like, you like a Danny Brown song? But no.
No. But I think the one they have on Spotify, I swear there's a radio edit that only ever plays on the radio. It's kind of like how Benny and the Jets, they only ever play that one live show.
Right.
For some reason, I think there's a radio edit of Dirty Laundry, and it just sounds so much better when it comes on the radio. Pulling it up on Spotify is not the same thing. So, but that's one song that I definitely I rocked out to driving to the grocery store the other day.
Oh, well, nice. It's always good to have it's always nice just to find a song that you really click with.
Mm-hmm.
Gives you that warm, fuzzy feeling. But yeah, I think that's it for this week.
Yeah. Thank you so much for listening to the Audio Shop podcast this week. If you are listening to us live on Twitch chat, and I notice our number has not changed this whole time, so we probably have not gained anyone new. But anyway,
an audience.
If you've liked what you've heard and you want to listen to some more, if you scroll down a little bit, there's a big old picture of Jeff Lynne, who's the guy with glasses and curly hair. You click on his face, it'll take you right to our YouTube page, and that's if you're on the desktop version. I pulled it up on mobile, and apparently you can't see all those things below. So I'm not sure how you get to it from there. But if you just look up Audio Shop on YouTube, Audio Shop Podcast, you'll find them all pretty easy. And all the past episodes are there, and I got a nice little playlist. So if you want to listen to them from the very beginning when they were terrible, you can. I wouldn't recommend it.
Slightly less.
But you can. And then if you want to recommend something, we got a little recommend box down there as well on the desktop version. Although we are very behind, and we're still very behind. We were going to tick one off today, but we listened to the wrong album. So we'll have to come back to Born to Run at some point.
Yeah, and you can follow us at AudioShop14 at Twitter. We'll give a little preview of what we'll be listening to if you want to listen ahead. And when we'll be going on. We usually always go on at Sundays at 8 p.m. Eastern. So we hope that you'll join us again next week.
Yeah, and if you're listening on YouTube right now, come on over on Sundays. Hop in the chat.
We like to have fun here.
Yeah, we have a few little japes and jokes every once in a while.
We keep it light, keep it airy.
Keep it fresh.
We have fun.
Yeah, we have fun here. But
yeah.
Thank you so much for listening to the Audio Shop podcast this week, and we will see you again next week.
Yes. See you later.
See you later, shoppies. See you.
Oh, yes.